You know, after this past Monday on Raw, which is supposed to be the go-home show to Extreme Rules, a lot of people ask and wonder, what is Raw's biggest problem? Why is it not doing as well as it should? And why, according to sources, it scored its second lowest rating of the year? Like, what is the main problem with it? And when I look at Monday Night Raw, there could be many factors. It could be the fact that it's 3 hours long and people tune out after maybe the second hour or first hour or whatever. Mainly the second hour. It could be due to the fact that you got a small roster on a 3-hour show. Oh, and you don't know how to incorporate each talent in a very useful way. Thirdly, and probably one of the most important factors, is your champion is not even there, if not really acknowledged as much, until recently because of this fatal five-way. And possibly before, your creative team backstage, your writing team, your booking team, whatever you want to call them, they don't know exactly who they want to put over, who they want to bury, and who they're unsure of. And probably the fifth factor, probably the biggest, is unlike SmackDown, Vince McMahon himself has more say in Monday Night Raw than anybody else. He's probably in the back at SmackDown Live, but mostly he lets maybe his son or his son-in-law call the shots there. Because you see a big difference between the two. Heck, you even had Nia Jax shoot on Twitter on the very women's division she is a part of on Monday Night Raw by saying SmackDown Live is at least utilizing the women's division to its full potential and is giving them a chance to make a historic mark on this business by having the first ever women's Money in the Bank ladder match. I mean, when you have someone that's on your brand that should be a focal point of your women's division, shooting on said division and saying that the opposition's women's division is getting more opportunity than they are, in fact, even congratulating them, it shows you that even your talent is sick and tired of the BS going on behind the scenes. And it's like, and here's the question, what does Vince McMahon want out of this? What is his priority? What is his number one goal with Monday Night Raw? Does he think putting the Universal Championship on a part-timer like Brock Lesnar is the answer, is the solution? No, it isn't. I mean, yes, it brings more notoriety to a championship that basically a lot of people look at as a joke. Let's be honest about that. They look at it as a joke. And yet, said championship is not even there to be showcased when it should be. I mean, these 5 factors play huge factors in a huge overall factor into Raw right now. That's what they do. I mean, Extreme Rules comes up on Sunday, and you're not even emphasizing how extreme it could be. What matches do you got? Kendo stick on a pole match? How old school can you get? You don't need to make it on a pole match. You can make it a kendo stick match. I mean, why make it a kendo stick on a pole? What? Can make it more intriguing to see who gets to it next? What, from a storyline perspective, see if Bayley gets a hold of it, if she can get extreme? Doesn't make any sense. You could just do a kendo stick match. Just say that kendo sticks are the only thing allowed. Unless there's some kind of payoff with this match, with maybe Bayley showing that Bayley can get extreme, but maybe she gets too extreme and maybe that's why she doesn't, because she's afraid she might go over the edge? I mean, seriously? I mean, Monday Night Raw can't even do a decent "This Is Your Life" segment, according to a lot of people, with Alexa Bliss hosting to try to get heat on her going into this match against Bayley. She can't even do a decent one. And she's one of the best promo talkers they got. And then your Intercontinental Championship. Probably the only premier title right now in your brand, seeing as though your Universal Champion, like I said, is not even there to acknowledge the Fatal 5-Way, to basically take an interest in it. The only representation you have of him is Paul Heyman. And yeah, Paul's great and everything, but wouldn't it be nice to have freaking Brock Lesnar there? I mean, this is why WWE is spending more and more money on Brock right now. Why they're paying him more and more. You think he's going to take these additional days without a decent payment? Hell no. Or heck no, sorry Lord. Heck no, he's not going to take these additional days without proper payment. So you think Brock is just going to show up without being paid? Without some kind of incentive? Of course he's not. And that's what hurts him. This is what hurts WWE. You are not UFC. You are not Bellator. You are not WBC, IBA, whatever you want to call it, boxing promotion. You cannot have a champion that everybody knows about, but only will come out when you schedule a big time matchup. No. Brock may have been used to that when he was in the UFC, but this is WWE. This is a lot more different. This is more different, okay? This is the main problem. Your biggest attraction you have is not there. You know, on SmackDown, people have said the best way to utilize Shinsuke Nakamura is not to showcase him as much. Don't let him compete as much. Well, guess what? That's true and everything, but at least, even if you treat him like a special attraction, Shinsuke is still willing enough is still asked if not promoted to show up and maybe compete in a match, which he does, and look what happens. People gain interest. People's eyeballs are on the product. Monday Night Raw is not even doing that. Why, is there something in Brock's contract that states, oh, well, if you force me to do all these, I'll sue your company? Is that it? Is that what's in the contract? In Brock's contract, that he'll sue the WWE if they force him to do more than he should? You know, someone asked Jason Solomon about interim champions. This is what I would do. If I'm WWE, I'd make an interim champion. I'd put an interim Universal Champion out there. I create an interim Universal Championship. I do that. I do it in a fact that says, hey, Brock, you think you're the only Universal Champion? Guess what? You're not. Come back here and prove it. Come back here and prove it on a full-time basis. Or at least a weekly basis on Monday Night Raw. But does he do that? No. And that's a problem. That's a factor. It's a major factor. The 3-hour length is probably a huge factor as well, unless you can make it enjoyable. The creative staff is another huge factor. Kevin Dunn. Everybody makes fun of Kevin Dunn. Oh, Vince, that was terrific. Tremendous. You know, Kevin Dunn, you might be talented, but you're losing your edge. It's no wonder there's a rumor going around, that Vince Russo has spoken with Vince McMahon. Maybe Vince Russo, through some kind of connection in WWE, is basically trying to convince Vince, and maybe this connection that's getting this going, if it's true, maybe they're trying to convince Vince, look, let someone like Russo come in, you might see a major change. the thing is, the creative staff can do things that are interesting. The mystery about this whole thing, this whole Kurt Angle mystery and who sent the text. Okay, fine. That's intriguing. That's good. It makes you guessing. It gets you guessing. Hopefully you don't fall through on it. The whole who attacked Enzo, possibly leading to a big cast heel turn, that's intriguing. Those are probably the two most interesting things you got. But anything else? The Fatal 5-Way. Great concept and everything. Good idea. But here's the thing. You don't have... Here's the thing. Pretty much everybody is already indicating as to who could be the winner out of this. People are pretty much pointing, especially when you have Paul Heyman basically put him over, Finn Balor winning this and facing Brock Lesnar. And then there's a glaring problem too that faces Raw. You're going to have critics looking at that, like let's say the Schleg Daddy, with all due respect, they're going to see this happen and they'll be like, huh? Really? Finn Balor? Against Brock Lesnar? Are you kidding me? They're not going to take it seriously because Finn Balor, in their eyes, is pretty much a freaking cruiserweight who should be on 205. And then speaking of Balor, you want to, WWE, you want to fix the problems with Monday Night Raw? What is the one thing fans have been clamoring for? They've been clamoring for a reformation of the original Bullet Club via Balor Club with Balor, Anderson, Gallows. And maybe a few other members you want to throw in there. And you know why? Because fans know, whether people want to admit it or not, and even insiders know, and former talent knows, that the Balor Club, the original Bullet Club, could make things more interesting. You know why they're still over in Japan and in other promotions? It's because they allow the Bullet Club to make things interesting, to make things fun, to make wrestling fun again. And if you were to bring this group together in some form or fashion, it could make Raw fun again. Why? Because you can have them acting the way they did in Japan. You can have Finn, let's say he wins the Fatal 5-Way. He reforms the Bullet Club because of that, to go up against Brock. You can have him just joke around, not take Brock seriously. And be like, oh yeah, you're all muscles but no brains. Da, 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 da. You can have him act all cool and cocky. That's what made him a hit in Japan. That right there, that can save you. That could be something that could save Raw. But no, they don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. And then, how about this? On top of that, you have sources going around that Vince McMahon used to be high on Sasha Banks, now he's not. Now he's ridiculing Sasha Banks to possibly just 205 appearances and mediocre Raw feuds. And does he not hear the fans? Does he not hear the fans? Sasha Banks against Bayley is what they want, representing Raw at SummerSlam. Does he not hear the fans? Apparently he doesn't. The thing is, Raw has all these interesting talents and all these great opportunities in front of them, and they don't capitalize. I mean, WWE, you want to know what would help make Raw interesting? Get off your butts, help the Hardys, you got the money, help the Hardys get the freaking broken gimmick in your company. Because if you let them go broken, that is going to make Raw interesting. That is going to make people want to tune into Monday Night Raw to see that broken gimmick. They're going to want to see Broken Mac, Brother Nero. And heck, you saw what they did for TNA. You can allow them to film matches and segments at the compound. Think about the revenue you could get at one of your Raw pay-per-views if on Monday Night Raw promoting possibly a sequel to Tag Team Apocalypto. Think about that. Think about that. You can have Tag Team Apocalypto 2, but this time in the WWE, think how much revenue and promotion, how much that will get people intrigued. People intrigued to know, oh wait a minute, Tag Team Apocalypto 2 is happening in WWE? I gotta go see. The same thing with delete or decay. You can do another final deletion. It's like, why not get off your butts and do this? What, are you afraid Anthem is going to be proven right? And then they might take you for your money? Vince, you have all the money in the freak. You have more money than anybody could count. Vince McMahon should spend some of that to get the broken gimmick. See, there's so many problems with Raw. And some of the things I mentioned, from reforming the Bullet Club via Balor Club, spending the money to get the broken gimmick, utilizing the women's division a little bit more. This is what hurts Raw, is the fact, and the creative staff. Oh my gosh. The creative staff is gone cuckoo. The creative staff has gone cuckoo, 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 cuckoo. Can I think the 3 hours is wearing on them? You know what? Vince, you know what you should do? Vince McMahon, WWE, and I think a lot of fans would agree with me on this. In April of 2000, WCW tried to do something. To give them credit, did get them back in the news. It did get them maybe one of the highest ratings in the 2000s. They took an episode of Nitro and basically rebooted WCW around it. On April of 2000, the start of April of 2000, they took an episode of Nitro and rebooted WCW around it. They vacated all the championships and decided to start from scratch. Maybe that's what WWE needs to do with Monday Night Raw. Take an episode of Raw, reboot the damn brand, and say, you know what, all titles are vacated, even what Brock has. We're going to start all over again with the next pay-per-view and crown new champions. Here, we'll create tournaments and qualifying matches to make it happen. It would make sense. That's the only sensible way for Raw to save Raw, is do what WCW did. And WWE, you could do it a lot better than WCW did, but that's probably the only thing you could do is reboot freaking Raw. It's not go back to the Attitude Era style. It's not go back to ruthless aggression. No. Probably the only solution to get things back in focus, focus and get people's eyes back on your product and on your mothership show, on your mothership program, Monday Night Raw, is to reboot Monday Night Raw. Reboot it. Vacate the championship. Say no one's champion. We're going to reboot it. We're going to start over. And at the next pay-per-view, the next Raw pay-per-view, they are going to crown new champions to start out the new era and basically start out with a clean slate. That's probably the only solution Raw has, is to be rebooted. And you know what? Timing's perfect. All of media is rebooting a lot of things. Why not do it, WWE? Reboot Monday Night Raw. Make it happen. Because you know what? A rebooted Raw is probably the start to it's probably what's needed. It's probably what's necessary for a fresh new start. And you know what? If I'm WWE, I make this ruling as part of the reboot. So I make this ruling as part of the reboot, okay? I make this ruling. I'm sorry this is about to go into two parts, but I make this ruling.